This is me. I'm not the llama. Diana, we can move on to the next slide. And we're going to go through, hopefully I don't talk too fast, but one, I'm from New York, so I do that. Two, there's a lot to cover, and I want to make sure that we have time for a nice conversation. So I apologize in advance for talking very quickly, but there's a lot going on in this space, as you guys know. Next slide. And we'll go to the next slide. Okay. So this isn't surprising to anybody. This is why we're here. Artificial intelligence is having quite the moment right now. We know at Meta, people use our technologies to get closer to what they care about. It's connecting with family or friends or customers, new experiences. However, Meta has been a pioneer in the AI space and engaged in the AI space for over a decade. For example, this is how it allows for us to deliver relevant content and ads to people who use our services. Recent breakthroughs in AI have captured the public's imagination and demonstrated the potential here to really help people do really awesome and incredible things and create, I think, what is a new era of social and economic opportunities. Like all foundational technologies, really going from the radio to the internet and operating systems, there will be many uses for AI. Some of them will be predictable and some of them clearly not. Meta's AI advances, we're really looking to it also to help workers and small businesses. Companies can use our Llama, which is our large language model, to create personalized ads and trainings and modules for employees to tailor their learning experiences. There's a lot that AI tools can do here for small businesses and how to help them compete. And so I'm really excited to dig into that with you. So next slide, please. Okay, but first we want to start in like a foundational knowledge base. Like, what is AI? Because there's the classic version of AI, and then there's this generative AI definition. So what do we mean by artificial intelligence, and what's new about this generative AI space? So AI, there actually is no universally accepted definition of artificial intelligence, but it is more commonly understood to be really kind of the capability of a computer system to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. So visual perception, speech recognition, content understanding, and translation between languages. So that's really what we're thinking about when we talk about artificial intelligence. Classic versus the generative. So AI, again, very broad field, and there are many different subfields and applications. So generative AI is a broad term that refers to really any AI technology that is capable of generating new content. So including text, images, audio, videos, and code. Typically, it's constructed as a machine learning system that has been trained on lots and lots and lots of data. And generative AI models learn the patterns and structure from the input of that training data. This is, certainly in contrast with the classical definition of AI that performs, other functions such as like classifying data, which is like assigning labels to something or to images, grouping data, kind of like identifying and grouping customer segments together, as I'm sure a lot of you use, or kind of like choosing actions with like autonomous vehicles or automated machine learning technologies. So that's how we're differentiating the two. Next slide. Okay. So as we're talking about this, again, we're kind of looking at definitions like, what does this actually mean? Again, so artificial intelligence is the capability of computer systems to perform complex tasks that would normally require a human to do. Then there's also the term automation that you may have been hearing a lot, which is a flow that follows predefined rules to perform specific tasks. So for businesses, automation enables technology to learn about customers and make informed predictions about who is likely to respond. And it really like profound scale and efficiency, and constantly iterating and improving on those results. Generative AI is the computer model that has learned the data pattern so it can respond to questions or create something new. And AGI, which is something you've also heard, I'm sure, artificial general intelligence, is getting to cognitive functions like reasoning, planning, perception that brings us to human capabilities and beyond. Next slide. So we're really excited that, the whole conversation around AI is really how transformative it's going to be. I think we see that developments in AI are going to push frontiers of scientific discovery. That's certainly from medicine to climate. I think that AI will certainly be central to addressing many global changes or challenges, and we've already seen some really inspiring solutions to address some of these major challenges that can deliver enormous benefit. We also think there'll be tremendous productivity gains. AI can automate rote tasks, from scheduling to transcription to basic accounting. We're finding that studies show that people who are using these types of tools for efficiencies are finding higher value out of their work. And I also think that's something to think about, or that gets kind of left out of the conversation sometimes, is that AI can improve safety, and reducing the need for people to complete dangerous tasks, or from identifying and removing, whether it's landmines to if you're fixing your car, how can you really kind of assess what the potential pitfalls are? Next slide, please. So what is a large language model? Next slide, please. So I should say that there are a couple of ways that Meta is approaching AI. We're going to start foundationally first, which is our large language model. What is an LLM, large language model? They are AI models that are designed to simulate language digitally. So they're characterized by a large number of parameters. It often leads to improved performance when trained on lots of data and computational power. So other LLMs, or large language models, that you may have heard about are OpenAI's GPT-4, Google's PaLM, and Meta's Llama 2. These foundation models are AI models with broad capabilities and that can be fine-tuned for specific purposes. So they really serve as that base building for models. And there are currently the terms foundation model and large language model are often kind of used interchangeably. And so we're really excited to really dive into all of the potential that these large language models can do. Next slide, please. So what are the applications of these large language models? LLMs will spark a new age of invention, ingenuity. These models are trained on, again, vast amounts of quantities of information, and they represent a significant proportion of collective human knowledge. They can be fine-tuned to a multitude of different tasks, allowing us to deploy the collective knowledge in a lot of different ways. They can advance medicine and improve healthcare. They can be fine-tuned for purposes that advance public health by breaking down large language models and barriers in general. They can improve on areas such as drug discovery and novel protein synthesis. And they can also make sure that we are really providing opportunities for inclusivity and data privacy, and making sure that people know how to efficiently translate and edit articles or have conversations with people in different languages. It's really very exciting. Next slide. Okay. So it goes beyond what does generative AI do? It goes beyond these large language models that we've been discussing. It feels like it's everywhere. We're really starting to hear about it all of the time, but really, how do you think about it solving basic math problems, answer reading comprehension, give us new and creative ways of wording things, how it can be, how can providing just a couple of words create a description of an idea into an image, and it can give the ability to produce videos and music with just a few taps on your mobile device, which is, again, very exciting. Next slide. As we're thinking about this transformative technology, we're also, again, really thinking about the very many use cases. So These developments in AI are pushing the frontiers of scientific discovery, again, medicine to climate. It will, again, the productivity gains can really create lots of opportunities. And we're really excited to see what businesses can do with it. Next slide. Okay, what does it look like from our perspective at Meta? So next slide. So this is not new to us. As I mentioned earlier, we've been involved in with, or we've been engaging with and utilizing AI for over a decade. But for those who remember even the beginning of Newsfeed in 2006, Meta, or then Facebook, has been using machine learning and AI to power all of our apps and services. So whether it's the feed ranking or community discovery or personalized ads, as many of you may have used, it's really powered by AI. We are an industry leader in generative AI research, and we're using this new generative AI to power new experience in all of our family of apps. And again, we are very excited to see what people do with this. And over time, you may remember the term the metaverse. We know that this will extend to our work of the metaverse too, so that people can more easily create objects and worlds and codes to, again, kind of like bring everybody together. But at the core, this still is Meta's core mission, which is really to bring people together and connect them to express themselves and just create a better community. And so we hope that, and we look that this new AI that we're working, that we're all using and working towards will do just that. Next slide. So as I mentioned, it's been with us for over a decade, and we really, by the end of 2024, we will own over 340,000 NVIDIA GPUs. We're also working to build, and we have built, one of the fastest AI supercomputers in the world, to, again, allow for our technology to really be best opportunities for users. Next slide. So how is AI being used at Meta? As you can see, it's language translation, it's speech recognition, it's the content clusters, it's really being able to differentiate rote tools and tasks. A lot of folks are using it again in personalized advertising so that they're able to make to really find their customers in a more efficient way by using our targeted advertising tools. There's accessibility, there's video captions. There's really just a lot of different and creative ways that folks can use the AI at Meta. Next slide. And you'll hear me talk a lot about Llama and our open source AI movement. So our technology and large language model, as Llama, is open source. And I will talk about that a little bit, but we are very excited that it is really being embraced by the developer community in kind of how we're working with AI. Next slide. And I'll go next slide. Okay, so we're talking about open source. What does that mean, and why do we do it? So we openly release many of our most advanced models. You might be asking why. And we invest hundreds of millions into the research and training compute that is needed to develop these models. And so really, why are we giving them away? We really do believe that open source helps support safety and security. So open source software is typically safer and more secure due to all of the ongoing feedback. So when it's open source, people can be fine-tuning and playing with models and really digging in. And so it's actually under a higher level of scrutiny and development from the community. There are certainly risks to keeping these types of novel technologies with broad implications out of the open scrutiny. We also think it bolsters competition and innovation. So open access to start, to thinking about using state-of-the-art AI, it really does create opportunities for everyone, outside of just a handful of people who are able to afford hundreds of thousands of engineers or developers working at larger companies. It really is giving the tools and innovative resources to people who are looking to start their own business or to really fine-tune what it is that they're doing. So we really believe that this kind of lowers the barrier to entry for innovation. Next slide. I do want to make sure that we always ensure that it is safe, that each model is safe and responsible, and we want to make sure that everybody knows that it all goes under intense scrutiny before it all becomes public. Okay, next slide. Okay. Again, as we're talking about closed models and open models, what does this mean? What we mean, again, by this open approach, it really means that we make our model weights freely and publicly available through open distribution channels, so like Hugging Face or GitHub. It really allows others to customize our own models, but by using their own specific use case. So again, this really does drive innovation and safety. This is a contrast in how some other companies approach this, where with a closed model, where the model and the model weights are kept behind closed doors. So it really means that people don't really have the access to the model except for the API that is provided. And so sometimes if you're in a closed system and you're working on something, but then all of a sudden the model is updated, you may have lost, a lot of the work that you had been working on. So it's not yours wholly. Next slide. And again, some of the benefits that we see from, the open approach is it provides lower compute costs. It, again, is more customizable and predictable. So, these open models can be downloaded onto local hardware and developed in-house. So providing your own organizations with the ultimate control over how you customize your model for your own specific use case. It also gives you more control over the data because open models can be downloaded onto local hardware. There's no need for developers to share data with external providers. So it provides a significant advantage, we think, especially when there's so much of the innovation from open models that results in applications of new and proprietary data sets. So it's really allowing you to control your data. And again, we're very focused on driving safety and security here. So it allows a, kind of like a look under the hood approach. So research and authorities can see what's going on. It can verify the performance of the model, identify risks or vulnerabilities, and develop new mitigations. And lessons from cybersecurity. This is something that everyone has top of mind. You should have it top of mind. It is critical. And we know that this open approach kind of allows for software development to typically improve security. Next slide. So, want to be very transparent, of course, that, the open approach is not just, about altruism, of course. Meta does have a stake in our interest in this, but it does go to helping support the community, right? So crowdsourcing, these open models allow us to crowdsource continual feedback. And again, scrutiny and development of the AI community helps us build more secure and efficient models. Also, open source software often does become industry standard. Facebook has a history of that. So when companies standardize on building with our technologies, it becomes easier to integrate and innovate over time. We do know that it is generally very popular among developers and researchers, and open sourcing our infrastructure, like Llama, doesn't undermine our own ability to create our own unique products. It actually allows us to be, we we are still able to innovate and have unique data. So we're excited about what we're able to bring to you all. Next slide. Okay. Also, again, we're all talking about how, yes, the innovations are great, but how do we make sure that this is done responsibly? For each of the models we develop, the benefits of open releasing the models guards against potential risks. We take and assess, mitigate these risks when we're developing them. We take responsible steps before launching our models. We make sure that we have the support and that we do support the open source developer ecosystem by providing tools and the resources. And we also work with a global set of stakeholders, including governments, to create industry-wide standards. So again, we want to make sure that we are doing this in a responsible way. Next slide. Next slide. The llama is very cute. And because I do, again, just want to, double click on the responsibility piece. The foundation of any training model process or any model is really the training process. So we want to improve the quantity and the quality and the diversity of the training data. All of these aspects help ensure that the responses from our models are reliable and helpful for everyone. And excluding or removing data from sources that are potentially harmful, we want to make sure, again, that we're providing a safe space. Next slide. So this is how we think about it. We put privacy and security first, transparency and control. That requires robustness and safety, and then which leads to fairness and inclusion and accountability and governance. These are questions that no single company can answer. We have to make sure that we are proactively working with external stakeholders to make sure that all of these facets are implemented into whatever the best industry standards would be. Okay, next slide. And for anybody who is interested in developing off of the large language model, we do have this responsible use guide to help do that. Next slide. There are lots of policy implications and debates, as you have certainly heard, I am sure, whether it's the information and potentially effects on elections. People have talked about the existential risk of AI around copyright, future of work, sustainability. These are all things that we are keeping front and center and top of mind to make sure that that Meta is showing up in the most responsible and effective way. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, this is the super fun stuff. So we are really excited about the applications for AI, and I promise you I'm almost done talking. Generally, most purposes of the software, is really behind coding and architecture. Generative AI marks a major shift in data transformation, and we're really ready to kind of meet the changing demands of the world. And what is this? And what is this? And what does this look like? What does Meta's infrastructure and backbone to do to support AI, and where the industry is going? We have next generation data centers, again, kind of looking to support all of this AI work. We're investing in high performance chips and, as I mentioned, kind of this research cluster. Next slide. Next slide. So again, there are lots of really, really fun things happening. And so our biggest long-term bets depend on the progress of AI. So we're benefiting from a lot of industry-wide focus on the technology. So I don't know if any of you own or have used any of our mixed reality Quests or our smart glasses, our Ray-Bans. And they depend on an entirely new kind of ultra low friction and interface that understands and anticipates a person's needs. And so until recently, that was really challenging. But the key is that these LLMs have the potential to do all of this inference for, again, across visual and audio and voice. It really allows for people to really engage with the physical world in a very different way. And it really allows us to look and innovate towards tomorrow. Next slide. So in addition to the large language model that I've spent a lot of time talking about, but as developers can, build their own businesses and products off of that LLM, we've also launched Meta AI. So Meta AI, which you can find by doing meta.ai into your Google or search bar. Meta AI is a new assistant that you can interact with really like a person, available on WhatsApp and Messenger and Instagram. And I do think now on our Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses, again, which are really very cool. So it's powered by one of our models. It's custom, and it leverages the technology from our large language model. And in text-based chats, Meta AI has access to real-time information that's searched through a partnership with Bing, and really is very cool to offer image generation or ideation. And again, you can use it as a tool for many of the things that you're working on. Next slide. Okay. So this Meta AI assistant, which we announced last year, it is one of the world's leading AI assistants. You can use Meta AI by clicking on the blue ring icon wherever you see it. So it's in the apps and in your mobile devices. It's also the option to chat with Meta AI on our website. Our aim with this is to help people learn and create and connect in new, exciting ways. We're really excited that it's traditionally been only in the US, but is now available in 13 different countries. And again, it's really used as an assistant and a tool to help you create and innovate and kind of be like a kind of a gut check on some of the things that you might be working on. Next slide. So you can now use your voice to talk to Meta AI on many of our apps. It'll respond back to you out loud. So get answers to your questions. You can let Meta AI explain something to you. So I have the Meta Ray-Ban glasses, the Ray-Bans, and I can look at a tree and I can say, hey, Meta, what am I looking at? And it can tell me what type of tree it is. I tried it and I was standing in front of a mirror and I was like, Meta, what am I looking at? And it's like, I see a person standing in front of a mirror. When we are looking and expanding our business AIs to thousands of businesses using a click-to-message ads on WhatsApp and Messenger. These are in English, but so that they can quickly set businesses up and set up business AIs that can talk to their customers and offer support and facilitate commerce. So small businesses out there, businesses, pay attention because these are tools to help you be as efficient as possible. Next slide. And when we first announced this earlier this year, we're also looking to make it as accessible as ever. So it has enhanced reasoning capabilities and contextual understanding. It can help provide more helpful responses, and it can also really help you navigate if you're traveling or if you're trying to, again, assess what it is that you're seeing or trying to learn more or to embed yourself more in a community. Next slide. As I mentioned, Meta AI is now in our Ray-Ban glasses, which also allows you to do really fun things. It's multimodal, and it allows you for live streaming to Facebook or Instagram. It's hands-free and it's super comfortable to wear. Next slide. And we're bringing AI to mixed reality. So I am going to stop there because I talked a lot. And there's still a lot more to talk about. But I will stop. I promised to do only 10 minutes, and I think I probably went about 20. But there is just so much excitement here at the company. There's so much excitement for what we can do with businesses, and for businesses. And so would love to open up the conversation.
Thank you so much, Dana. That was extremely informative. I don't think that every time I hear about something more and I think I know it all, I get so much more information. And that's me, somebody who uses AI. By the way, I am the proud owner of not one, but two Meta classes, and I cannot do without those. It's one of my own assistants right here, by the way. It just went out of, so I always have one on backup and one on my face.
Amazing. I'm so glad to hear that.
You once you get used to it, it's very hard to do without them.
Yeah.
Um, I do want to take some time and talk to you about AI and small businesses. We do have a lot of small business owners. Um, so how does Meta see AI evolving in the next few years for small businesses specifically?
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of opportunity here, both in the large language model and the development and that open source and what that provides, and then also what using a Meta AI assistant could look like. So one of the things that we're really excited about, again, with open source is that we do believe that it allows a lower barrier to entry for would-be entrepreneurs and developers or anyone who is just curious about how to build off of this. You're already seeing some really interesting innovations and people looking to, again, like solve major global challenges with the AI. And so, we have folks looking to assess drought implications and what is that doing to local farmers in India. We have folks looking at assessing safety conditions on a construction site. And what does that look like, actually kind of using the Meta Ray Bans as well. And so the ability to take this technology that is often reserved for people that, companies that have a lot of resources, ours included, sometimes is prohibited when you don't have that access and when you're spending so much time working in your business every day. And so again, the open source technology and those resources really allows for anybody who has the interest to go and build off of this. Now, if you don't do that, and I always joke that, but it's true, like I'm kind of a Luddite that works at a tech company. Everybody should know how hard hard of a time I had getting my Zoom to work. Um, and today, but thinking about how to use the Meta AI assistant or the types of technologies that we're using on the Meta platforms itself. So first, on the Meta platforms, if you are a business that advertises through Meta and our platforms using our targeted ad service, the services that we now have can be and are AI supercharged. So the last time we did a return on ad spend assessment, I think the average was for every dollar spent on the platform in advertising dollars, that person was getting an average of $4.52 back, which really, it's amazing because then what can you do with that additional revenue, right? Like,
Yeah.
what are you getting back? And in turn, and right, and so you're able to kind of use the technology that we're building into our tools so that you all can, reach your customers and get that return on ad spend. I think that's really important to note. Then when you're looking to use the Meta AI, either you can develop it and use it as as a customer service tool. You can help it, again, you can help it, it can help you with accounting, or again, kind of like these more mundane tasks that we know take business owners so much time, and so like accounting and other things, and so important. Obviously, you need to run your business. But how often, as you as a business owner, are you wishing that you had a little extra time back so you can think about your 5-year plan? Or like, what does it mean to work on your business, not in your business? And I think by using Meta AI tools and these tools and think about it as a tool for your brain, a tool for your business, I think you're going to get a lot of work, a lot back from it. And there's a lot of opportunity there. So That's what I'm super excited about. Who knows the number of products that we will develop. I'm not, I certainly can't go into detail there or predict that, but I can say the way that we're seeing people use it and what we're hoping, I think a lot of people will get a lot of efficiency and use out of it.
And you did talk a little bit about, Meta and all of or most of the AI tools of Meta being open sourced.
Mhm.
How can businesses take advantage of that?
Sure. I mean, it's yours, it's really yours to iterate on. And so if you have large sets of data that you're looking to pour through so to better understand your customer segment or to build a legal advice tool, right? There as a service and as a business, you have the capability to do that. And by it being open, again, the resources, the platforms are yours, or what you tinker and what you build is yours. It is on it's on your own hardware. You don't have to share it with others. You can fine tune it to your specific purpose. Again, when you have closed models, sometimes when there are updates in the system, you may have been working on something and developed pretty far along the way. But if there's a tool if there's a tinker that was changed, you may have to start over. And so businesses can really start using these foundational models to build off of and to really kind of like spur either efficiencies or build new companies and systems off of it.
Thank you for that. And then what are some, so, being in this world, we keep on hearing about the advancements AI is making, but alongside of that, we're also hearing about all of these policies that are around AI. So, of all the developments, and AI policy developments that are happening today, which ones are the ones that our small businesses should be on the lookout for?
Sure. So, right now, I think that there are ones that look to curb innovation or curb the ability for companies like Meta and Google and others to develop these tools that others can look to use. And so, earlier this summer, there was a bill in California. It was called SB 1047, which would have provided a kill switch and basically curbed it would have killed basically open source models. Again, as we believe the resources and the abilities for individual innovators and entrepreneurs to be able to use that open source model to develop and build off of is really important for business growth, economic growth, competition, security, all of those things. And so if you have states that are looking to kind of cut that off at the knees before we understand where the opportunities are, I think you're going to leave a lot of people kind of wanting for that next opportunity. I will say there is another matter in California at the moment with the Privacy and Protection Agency that the CPPA has voted to move forward with right now they're in a comment period, but around something called ADMT, which is automated decision-making technology. And what it's looking to do is it's looking at, well, ADMTs are any technology that processes personal information and uses, computation to execute decisions, replace decision-making, et cetera. But when it's defined as technology, it's incredibly broad. And so that's looking at software and programs. And if that is regulated or stripped, the opportunity costs, or actually like the implementation costs alone for even small businesses and consumers is pretty astronomical. I think the Cal Chamber or the Cal in California kind of estimated it at like a loss of 3.5 billion in just like in implementation costs. So when you're thinking about the economic impact to like state and business communities, especially small businesses, we have to think about these downstream effects from potential regulation and burdensome frameworks. So that is, things like that are what are what we're paying attention to and how it could impact small businesses' opportunities to use this technology.
Um, that's a lot happening, right? Small business owners, consumers, none of us know about all of these impacts, and how policies that are being made can actually impact us. Are there any specific websites or any place that we could go to stay informed?
That's a great question. I think that there are organizations like a TechNet, right? Like the USPAACC, certainly, who are looking to support you all as small business owners and keeping you abreast of what's happening from a policy perspective and what you should be paying attention to that could have a positive or a potential detrimental impact. And so you can also, of course, in addition to USPAACC, always look at your state and local chambers of commerce. And so because they are also very up to speed on what's happening in the states and what can immediately affect you. I have no idea. I have no predictions of what's going to happen on the federal level, or the executive branch or the federal side. I do think you're going to see a lot of movement and policy um, interest in the states. And so understanding what's happening at the local level and your state level on a policy in a policy way is very important.
A little earlier, Dana, you were talking about how small businesses can leverage advertising, through the open sourced tools of Meta. Are there any other opportunities um, for small businesses to use AI and Meta AI to reach new customers and markets? And how can they leverage it to their advantage?
Sure. So I think again, kind of using our targeted advertising tools has been a successful way for businesses to find new customers. But Meta AI is great at kind of idea iteration. And so if you are selling a scarf but you want to make it fun, and so you ask Meta AI to create an image of a unicorn wearing a scarf and it's snowing out, and can you use these tools to kind of harness your imagination and let it come to life? Because I think we all know as small businesses, the number one thing you have going for you is your authenticity and your ingenuity. And so what is it that's going to set you apart from your competitors? And that's that's your personality. That's what you're bringing from your personality to your products and to your business. So allow Meta AI and these AI tools to let you iterate and bring kind of what you have in your head to the screen or to life a little bit. And you may not have to spend an extra $1,000 or however many dollars on outsourcing to other folks when you may not be able to afford that to begin with. And so it really allows for what's in your ideation, your creativity to come to life in a little bit faster, efficient way.
Well, I can go on and on asking you questions. And even while you were presenting, I had so much, written down. And I'm like, this is going to be an amazing session. But I do have to give our audience some time for Q&A. But just before that, Diana, I think, Philip, I'll pass it over to you for like 30 seconds and then, open it up for questions from our audience.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Sarabi. Thank you, Diana. We're just going to do a quick group photo. So if everybody could turn on their cameras really quick, we'll do that group photo really quick, and then we'll head into the Q&A. All right. I'll give everybody just a couple seconds. Right. It's wonderful to see all of your faces. Awesome. All right. Okay. Group photo in 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. And then one more. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Surabhi, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you for all the smiley faces. Now, going into Q&A, I see that Joe has had his hand up for a while, so we'll take his question first.
Thank you very much, and thank you for a very informative session today. I have a process of planting very fast and large growing crops to capture lots of CO2 to combat climate change. And so my question is, can AI be a vehicle through which I can determine what are the top 10 crops and plants that will capture the most carbon dioxide per acre for 5, 10, and 15-year periods?
I don't know about that example specifically, but I have to imagine, yes. I think what's really exciting, especially, with folks, we have seen a lot of folks take to these LLMs or to the AIs to really start to address climate change, which I think is very exciting. And so assuming that data has been gobbled up within the training data, which I must believe, I bet that can help you absolutely.
Is there a mechanism that we would use to to perform that?
First, I would look at meta.ai and enter the prompt and see what comes up. I actually would think that it's pretty. I'd be really interested. I might try it a little bit later and see what I come up with. But then I can also, if I can get your information or if it passes over, I can get you some more technical expertise too. Because if you're looking to use the large language model, like I should say, I am not going to be here to give you kind of the best prompts or strategies or how to code on this, but we are developing and working on resources to provide small businesses with the opportunities on how to best use these tools. We're in this place of wanting to make sure that people know about it, and then we're getting the information of like what would be most helpful, and then developing support resources on the way back. So that is, Joe, that is one, thank you for doing what you're doing, because it's very important. And two, let me see what kind of technical expertise I can get you to kind of guide you in the right way.
Thank you very much. My contact information is in the chat.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Dana. The second question we have from the audience is, I'm considering adopting AI into my marketing routine. What are the challenges I should be aware of?
I think the challenges, so I think a lot of people just assume that once you start with AI, you don't have to fine tune it yourself, or you don't have to check for performance. I think a lot of people just kind of assume like, oh, well, it's powered by AI. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to check it. I don't have to adjust it. But it's like any marketing tool. It's like any campaign. You have to, it may be supercharged with AI and it may help you get to some images or efficiencies faster, but you have to remember that it's still the campaign that you're putting forward. And so it's not kind of like a set it and forget it thing. You really have you have to remind yourself to kind of mind the store, if that makes sense. Again, it should make things more efficient and easier to use. But again, it still has to be authentic. It still has to be, representative of you, and you have to make sure that like you're fine tuning it to find out what's working and what's not.
Are there any webinars Meta has that are that I can attend to learn more about how to use AI with my business? Any collateral, any place that I can go?
Yes. So we are, one, if anyone's familiar with the platform Coursera, we have a partnership with Coursera. So there certainly are, and us and other tech companies. So there are educational tutorials on engaging with AI and how to use AI. We are working on additional trainings and opportunities and to educate and to upskill to get everybody kind of familiar with the technology. And as soon as we have that available, we will absolutely be working coming back to USPAACC for us to share with the community, because we know that it's really important.
Thank you for that. I will be looking out for that update and circular to come for sure. Last question that we're taking from the audience today. Do you have any stories that you want to share of how a business may have greatly benefited from using AI?
I won't say a specific business per se, because we're seeing really, really cool innovations, right? Again, talking about Joe and solving climate change, or addressing the housing crisis, or there are lots of really interesting ways. There's one. Actually, I will say one. There is a construction company that has been using AI and has developed their own AI and they have sideloaded it actually into our Meta Ray-Bans, which I thought was really cool. I don't think the AI is based off of ours, but it's the technology that they are using. But they have built their own quality assurance agent. And so what they can do and what they are looking to do is look at a construction site and says, hey, Meta, and using using their AI, so their quality assurance, is what I'm looking up to code? Or are there any pitfalls? And so it will take a photo of what is in front of the individual, and their quality assurance agent will assess the dangers or what needs to be fixed. And I think that is just a tremendous example and an opportunity of creativity about bringing technology like this into a very physical and dangerous job, and an environment, potentially dangerous environment, and how it can really make and affect change. And that, by making sure that a work site is safe, can have tremendous implications for that person's family, for that work site, for the people who are going to live or work wherever that building is being built. So there are just so many fun and inspiring things that I'm really looking forward to seeing what you all use for it as well.
I look forward to using it, and I want it to take over everything from me.
Please go ahead. Come on over.
But thank you so much. Before we close out, I just wanted to know if you have any last remarks, anything that you want to share with our audience today.
I'm really excited about this technology. I'm really excited about the conversations around it, because I do think for quite some time, AI is just everywhere and people really unsure of what it was going to look like, and kind of this dystopia of technology. But I think the longer that AI has been in the conversation, the more that there's opportunity to, again, see it as a tool for your brain, for your efficiencies, to make your life a little bit more, hopefully a little bit stress-free, or less stressful. It'll never be stress-free. But I'm really excited to see where this goes and how people use it for good and efficient. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us for our exclusive LiveTALK session with Diana Dukas of Meta. We truly hope that you found the discussion insightful and valuable, and your feedback is truly very important to us. Please take a moment to complete our brief survey. Link is provided in the chat, and we all look forward to seeing you at our next LiveTALK session next month. Have a great day, great holiday season, and thank you so much. Take care all. Bye-bye.